What if I told you the loudest voice against socialism in America is also the one practicing it most aggressively? Donald Trump, who mocked Bernie Sanders as a communist who promised to cut government down to size, has become the most socialist president since FDR, but not socialism for the people, but socialism for power. And if you call yourself pro-freedom, ask yourself, whose freedom is being protected when Trump takes over industries, silences critics, and commands loyalty through fear? Let's be clear, what is socialism? At its core, socialism is the idea that the resources of society, its wealth, its industries, its future, should be shared, managed, or guided by the collective will of the people. In practice, it has many forms, from the safety nets of Scandinavia to the state-controlled economies of authoritarian regimes. Trump rails against it in speeches, calling it a threat to liberty. Yet during COVID, he handed out stimulus checks, directed industries to serve federal needs, and promised cradle-to-corporation bailouts. That was crisis socialism emergency collectivism to keep the system alive. And now, in his second term, Trump is pioneering something darker, National Socialism, the use of federal power not to protect the weak, but to command the strong. He takes stakes in corporations like Intel, not to save jobs, but to bend CEOs to his will. He threatens to federalize state militias, not to protect rights, but to crush dissent. He demands universities and even the press submit to his dictates. This is not socialism for the people, it is socialism for the ruler. So why is Trump doing this? Because power always seeks tools, and socialism, ironically, is one of the most effective. When the government can decide who gets what, who is rescued, and who is punished, it doesn't just regulate the economy, it regulates loyalty. Trump, like Caesar before him, knows that bread and circuses or checks and media coverage buy allegiance. In ancient Rome, emperors distributed grain to the people while confiscating land from their enemies. The form changes, but the principle remains. Control the resources and you control the republic. But what about the alternative, democratic socialism? Unlike Trump's nationalism, democratic socialism is built on accountability, equity, and participation. It's not about the state seizing your business, it's about ensuring no child starves, no elder dies untreated, and no worker is abandoned to the market's cruelty. Think about this. A single mother in Norway doesn't wake up terrified that her child's cancer treatment will bankrupt her family. A retiree in Finland doesn't wonder if he'll eat or afford his medication. That's not oppression, it's liberation from fear. We already see this in nations like Denmark, Norway, and Finland, where universal healthcare and education coexist with thriving economies and innovative industries, where freedom is not diminished but expanded, the freedom to live without fear of illness, poverty, or destitution. And here's the paradox. Americans already like socialist policies when they benefit us. Social Security, Medicare, the GI Bill, public schools, disaster relief. What we fear is the word itself. So the question is not whether America will embrace socialism. It already has. The question is, whose socialism do we want? The authoritarian socialism of Trump, where government power enforces conformity, rewards cronies, and punishes critics, or the democratic socialism of a people's republic, where government power ensures fairness, dignity, and shared opportunity. History warns us. Authoritarian socialism leads to stagnation, corruption, and collapse. From Rome's emperors to 20th century tyrants, the pattern is clear. But history also inspires us. Democratic socialism built Europe's welfare states out of the ashes of war, gave workers dignity, and created prosperity that outlasts crisis. America stands at that fork in the road. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The right fears socialism, the left fears authoritarianism. But Trump has merged them into the same thing. So I'll ask you, what do you think? Is Trump's version of socialism a betrayal of his own movement? And is democratic socialism the real, untested promise of the American experiment? Leave a comment below. Share this with someone who thinks socialism is just a dirty word. And subscribe because the Renaissance spirit is about refusing false choices and demanding better ones. And stick around because in our next video we'll go deeper. How America's fear of the word socialism has blinded us to the actual dangers in plain sight. Thank you for watching. You've just joined the Renaissance Spirit, a channel dedicated to a just, equitable, and humanitarian world. Here, we explore history, politics, culture, religion, personal growth, and the lessons of civilization from ancient Rome to modern America. We believe the Renaissance isn't over. It's waiting inside anyone who chooses curiosity, courage, and conscience. Living the Renaissance spirit means engaging with history as a dialogue, not just with the past, but with the future. Our work is a message to posterity. Will they inherit justice and wisdom, or wonder why we failed to act? If this makes you rethink what socialism really means, hit subscribe now, because that's exactly the kind of clarity we deliver here. Turn on notifications and take our Renaissance quiz to see if you carry the spark. Because if history is collapsing in real time, someone has to narrate the fall and plant the seeds of what comes after. Live the Renaissance spirit. History has not died, only our understanding of it.